Partners, how are you doing? Hello.
Great.
Oh, great.
Good morning.
Hello. Morning.
Morning.
There we go. All right, folks. Hey, listen. For those of you that obviously that were speaking and we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is that what happens? Is that what we've got? Is that you've got an open mic? So what happens if you want to multitask, have side conversations? Just hit *6, and so what you can do is you'll mute yourself and go from there. If not, just you want to be participating on the call. I love it, but what happens? I'm saying this for your fellow OPs, not for me, and we've been at this for a while, so we've got this. We've got this. Hey, folks, what we're going to do on today's call is we're going to go over. You're going to need a copy of your 2017 goals. And you're also going to need your trend. You're going to need a calculator or your smartphone, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some calculations, but really today's theme is really tactical. The call is that today's call is that we're really going to be tactical with this call. We're going to be doing some things, and we've talked a lot about theory and strategy and vision the last couple calls for the last month. Really what we're going to do on this call is be able to put that into practice. That's what we're really looking to do today. So any questions or comments before we get started? Are you ready to go?
We're ready.
Okay.
Ready, let's do it.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take your trend report. I want you to take your trend report, and what I want you to do with your trend what I want you to do with your trend report is I want you to turn to closed units. And with that, if you had two highlighters, that would be great. One, kind of a go, a positive color, and then another one, a watch it color on there. But what happens is when we do this exercise, it's really important to use colors. So what it does is just pops right out at you. It just, boom. What we got? However you want to do it. If you don't have two highlighters, that's great. See, folks, if you're driving and it's really hard to do this exercise, I'm going to say to you, drive. Do not try to do this exercise. These calls are recorded, and you can come back to them. All right. So what I want to do is I want to give you kind of the standard. And we're going year to date right now. Year to date. That's all we're looking at right now. Is that the standard that you're looking at is that if everything is 11% or higher, I want you to do that in your good job color. Are you with me? Like, all right. Are you with me? If anything is 10 or below, then I want you to highlight that year-to-date number in that watch it number. Sound good? Making sense? Any questions?
Yep, got it.
Got it? Perfect. Thanks, Matt. So now what we do is, what I want you to do is I want you to look at your closed units, and I want you to look at that number for the year-to-date. Tell me when you've got it highlighted. Say, got it?
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So now what happens, now we're going to go to your closed sales volume. You look at that year-to-date number, that year-to-date number. Now what I want you to do, highlight whatever highlight you need to highlight. Making sense? I need some verbal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listings taken, now what you're going to do, remember with listings taken, your year-to-date number, if it's above 11%, you're going to be highlighting in that go color. Are you with me? And if it's 10% or below, you're going to be doing your caution color or watch it. Listings taken volume. You got it?
Got it.
Listings sold.
Got it.
Listings sold volume.
Got it.
Contracts written?
Got it.
And your contracts written volume?
Got it.
So now what you've done is you've taken a look at your production, right? You've taken a look at your production. So what we're doing right now is we're doing this exercise to build your training calendar. Now, we're not building your training calendar for next month. We're using the vision and building your training calendar for the first quarter. Are you seeing it? Because
Yes.
if anything is at 10 or below, what are you going to do?
Going to focus your training calendar on that category.
Focus.
Why?
Because evidence
That's
is saying
how
that we
we
need
work.
to.
Because it's based off of evidence. Now you're not filling up the training calendar with popular classes. You're filling up the training calendar with needs that your people have. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Does.
Now, what caliber of agent do you think you're going to get at your training classes when you do your training calendar this way?
Better quality.
So what do you think the effects of training is going to be?
I think it's going to be very prescriptive.
So now, when you're sharing this, who would you want to share this information, the way you're setting up your training calendar, who would you want to share this information with?
Everyone. Everyone. And recruits.
Ooh. So you mean to tell me that you talking to them about what's happening inside the market center can bleed outside the market center and both be extremely effective?
Right.
So you're teaching one thought process that's going to work inside the market center, and that same thought process is going to work outside the market center. Is that leverage?
Yep.
Yes.
Is that going to help your people reach their goals? Not to mention your goals.
Absolutely.
Who's losing?
Nobody.
Us.
No one.
That's what happened.
Nobody.
How we doing? Doing all right? So now, when we're looking at this, when we have that, when we take the first quarter, and so now what we're going to do is when we reach the end of the first quarter, you know, the second month in the first quarter, what do you think we're probably going to want to do with this exercise?
Same thing.
Do it over again.
You did it again.
Are you seeing it? And the more eyeballs and the more ears that you can get on this, the more effective it's going to be for you. Does that make sense? Because now people aren't looking at it, the training calendar, as something to fill up or a popularity class. Really what happens, it's coming from, we're studying the market, and what we're doing is we're training to needs we have in the market. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, there's a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
Well, and whatever is showing up, John, in our market center trends is obviously what's showing up in our agents' businesses.
Hello? Nice job, Brenda. Are you seeing it? So now, let's look at this. So what we've got there, if we have a couple watch it colors on our trend report, and let's say we change those, let's say that we change those watch it colors to green, right? Now, let's go on. What's that going to do to our closed GCI?
It's going to increase it.
Grab that.
By the way, let's just say hypothetically, you know, just for giggles, let's just say, I got to do this. I apologize. I really do apologize. It's on me. There's people right now that are going, well, you know what? I don't have any watch it colors. And by the way, we talk like that when we don't have any watch it color. I don't have any watch it color, so I don't need to pay attention to this conversation. Really?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're
Raise
exactly.
the bar.
You do need to pay. Yeah. You do need to pay attention. So what happens? The reason being is because let's just say if you don't have any watch it colors, could we just focus on listings taken? And even if you do have watch it colors, could we just go to listings taken as well? Because if we nail our listing units, what's that gonna do for the closed units?
It drives it up.
It just drives everything.
If we focus on the listing units, what's that going to do for the listing volume?
Going up.
It drives it.
Drive it up.
If we do focus on the listing units, what's that going to do to the closed units or the closed sales volume?
Going up.
Going up.
If we focus on the listings taken, what's going to happen to the listings sold?
Going up.
Going up.
If we focus on the listing units, what's going to happen on the listing sold volume?
Going up.
Going up.
And if we focus on the listing units, what do you think is going to happen to those contracts written?
Going up.
Definitely increase.
And what's going to happen to the contracts written volume?
Going up.
It's going to jump. Yep.
So whether we've got watch it colors or what happens, we're all green, we could all focus on the listing units, and can you see how that's going to just drive everything?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't it cool that with our model, with our system, and just with real estate, is that what happens when Gary talks about the 80-20 principle, really, we can't go wrong when we focus on listing units. You can't go wrong. No market center will be doing something wrong if they're focusing on listing units. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, that
Laser
kind of
focus.
it just kind of sits there and says, well, shoot fire. All I got to do is make sure that I focus on, if I focus on listing units, woo, all this other stuff just cascades into place. I just like saying that word cascade. It's kind of magical. It just cascades right into place. You seeing it? Questions,
Yes.
comments, concerns, excitements with that?
And I was just thinking, John, that even if those 8 categories are green, so to speak, there's going to be trends that emerge, don't you think, that will still expose some gaps or some potential weaknesses? Just because we're above 11 or something, we still could be identifying a gap in how we're performing.
See, Todd, that's great. So now what you do is that if you're above, you're above 11%, but let's say that you're at 13 and everything else is at 24 or 26. We're probably going to want to focus on that 13. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, that listing unit, woo! Even if we're at 23 with our listing units, I mean to tell you, if we focus on that, it's still going to help every other category.
Well, John, I think also I just had this kind of duh moment here. Duh, but it's like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, we talk about hiding behind profit. We can hide behind these percentages, and kind of go, woo, they're all green, or, and so what you're really saying is unpack it. Even if you've had exponential growth in a given category, it might be that you were recording, relaunching, or it might be that you just began to get purposeful, and so you created an initial big gap. But we're really looking for sustainability in our business. And so that same kind of idea of don't hide behind the profit, don't hide behind the percentages. Look at what those unit numbers are, and then see, where you have opportunity there.
Love it. And right now, as we're in our goal session, we're thinking about our goals for 2017. We're sitting here about our vision for 2017. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't start on January 1st. It starts right now. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's starting right now. So what happens, just look at this. is that when we focus on those 8, and if we really focus on one of the 8, the listing taken units, it's just going to cascade to anything. And then what's going to happen to GCI?
It's going to increase dramatically.
Going up.
Then what happens to paid on volume?
Same.
Going up. Same.
Then what's happened to company dollar?
Yeah, that jumps.
Rise.
Going up. Jumps.
Then what's happening in owner profit?
Going up.
Yep.
Goes up.
Exponential.
Then what's happening to profit share?
Going up.
So when we look at these things, when we're looking at these things, I don't want to put stuff on you that says, let's do one more thing that adds, another thing to do onto your back. Let's look at this and say, what's one more thing that we can do that will ease your workload? Does that make sense? Let's do something in a slightly different way. It's going to be more proactive. But what it does is it really sets you up with your conversations. Are you seeing that? Remember I said this call was going to be very tactical. I always get nervous when we do tactical calls because we're getting real specific on this. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, John, it strikes me, thinking about the CGI conversations that we had last week where we talked about increasing the frequency that we examine those activities that we wanted to reinforce or change. This strikes me as the same way. We've become so prescriptive with our agents in terms of what tools we have to offer based upon their needs. We're doing the same thing with the calendar here by examining it and plugging in those things that actually fill a need. We're modeling that exact same behavior at the market center level that we're suggesting to our agents, that these tools are actually prescriptions for what's needed and not just time fillers. I love this.
Love it. Anybody else before we move on?
John, it's Colleen in Southern California. I just what comes to mind to me is this really shows that we care about our people and we really want to put together the best training class for them because our market center trend reports are a result of their activities. And so our prescription, as John just was sharing, is showing that we actually care.
Love it. And what we're doing is we're not just filling up a training calendar just to say we've got a training calendar. We're saying we've got a training calendar that is matching our people's needs in this market. Did you catch that? In this current market, we're matching our people's needs.
Yes, and it's just following through with our CGI because it's following the same track saying that, with CGI we're concentrating on listings as well, so now we're just helping you get there.
Janice, right on. Spot on. Great job.
It also takes guesswork out and makes it automatic, consistent, and effective.
Barry, what we're doing is we're looking right at it, aren't we? We're looking right at the evidence, and rather than us, trying to campaign for people to go to the classes, now what we're doing is we're showing cause and effect.
Yeah, and it just helps us remember that these aren't market center numbers, John. These are the agent's numbers.
Bingo. And that's the key to the growth initiative and CGI. All these big numbers that we talk about, those numbers don't matter. It's the families, it's the individuals that make up those numbers. That's the reason why we do the growth initiative. That's the reason why we do the CGI. It's cultural, ladies and gentlemen. It's cultural. Are you seeing it? You're doing
Absolutely.
great. You're doing great on this call. Great job. Okay, can we move on? Are we good? Any questions before we move to the next step?
No, we're good.
Now, by doing that exercise, really what it does, you can kind of look at it this way. That exercise for you is the point of entry with your staffs and your investment groups. When you did that exercise, did any of you have any ahas?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Did it help you focus when you did that exercise?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Did it help you sit there and say, I hope it gave you confidence and sit there and say, well, this is all we have to do. We just, this isn't like shrouded in mystery or anything. We just need to do this, and then what happens, we'll have even more success. I hope that's the intent. Not for anybody like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. No, it's just saying, no, we've got this. That's the intent. Are you seeing, I hope, that's a leading question, John. Did any of you have that experience with doing that exercise? I hope you did.
Well, the experience that I had was, it's not like I didn't know that, but now it's evidence-based.
What happens, there was an intuition there was a feeling, but now what happens, you can go back and clearly explain it, and it's very logical, it's very tactical.
Yes.
Great job. Anybody else?
One of the ahas I had on that, John, was that our year-to-date number was good. However, our month-over-month number was really, really good. And looking back to July 11th, we could now show in our market center, we have evidence that the CGI actually has boosted an already good number to an outstanding number.
Now what happens is what we do is we look at that time of year and we can sit there and go, whoa, this is really cool. Great job. Great leadership, Lucas. Super job. Okay, great job. So remember, by doing that exercise, I just want you to sit there and say entry point. You're going, what the heck does that mean, entry point? Well, what happens is when you do that exercise, I want you to think about where you were emotionally and mentally before you did that exercise at the start of the call, and now are you a little bit more open after doing that exercise? Are you a little bit more open and kind of going, okay, this isn't bad, this isn't good, it just is, and I'm kind of open to this. That's the way it's designed.
With clarity.
You doing all right? Okay, so now here's what I want to do, because that entry point is to open up a door. Let me explain. Take your 2017 goals with your appointments, with your gross, your net, and your profit, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Now what I want you to do, I want you to go to your trend report, go in, and you all know what your appointments were for October, right? You've got that number, right?
Yeah.
What happened in your 4 conversations?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just go ahead and plug that number in. Are you with me? Add that to your year-to-date number for appointments. Is this making sense to everybody?
Yes.
And then what I want you to do is just project out your November and December for appointments. And tell me when you're done. If you're doing the growth initiative, you just take your year-to-date number, you add in your October, and then you could just go 40 and 40 for December, and you've got it for November and December, and you've got your number. Making sense?
Yes, done. Yep.
You got it?
Got it. Got it.
We ready to move on?
Ready.
Okay. So now what I want you to do, I want you to look at your 2017 gross goal. Just look at it. That's all I want you to do. Look at that goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now what I want you to do is go to your projected end-of-year appointments for this year and divide that by 4. Is there a gap between 17 and your projected end of 16?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Now, I've made some big statements on this call, and now you get to see if I'm congruent or not. Are you with me? I said earlier on this call, purposely, I don't want you or your people to do more work. I'm a Keller Williams kid, and what I mean by that is I believe in leverage. Are you with me? And so what happens is that what we've got there, look at your appointments for 2017, look at your appointments for 2016. Hopefully there's not that big of a gap. Is there? Hopefully there's not.
No gap.
There's no gap. So now what happens, here's the deal. Here's the deal. What we've got right now, really probably where your biggest gap is, or the gap that you can affect the most, is your gross gap. That just happened, ladies and gentlemen. Because if we close the gross gap, what's automatically going to happen to the net gap?
Bro.
It's going to close.
Close it.
It's going to close.
Automatically, right? You don't even need to do anything. When you close the gross gap, you don't even need to do anything, and that net gap will automatically close, will narrow. Am I asking you to do more work, or are we helping you with your leverage?
Back to 80-20, you're reminding us what our 20 is.
Because what happens there is there is no way I'm going to say to you or your people, yeah, now that you're at 40, let's go to 80. No! Life's worth living, are you with me? No! What happens, let's hit the 40, and then let's make sure that what we do is we've got a yield off of that 40. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, let's do this. If you're nailing your training calendar and you're showing people that they're being productive and that the way you do your training calendar and the methodology and those types of things, do you think that anybody that's productive will probably think that that's a cool conversation?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
People will.
Do you think that what happens, that will help you close your gross gap?
Yes.
Yep.
At least it may not solve it, but it will contribute to it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
See, because what happens just by doing the calendar, it softens people up. If I just started the call with the 4-to-1, you would have sat there and said, oh, here we go again. But what happens by looking at a different approach to the training calendar, what that did is that opened up the discussion to take a look at what's actually happening from the yield from the activities. And it creates another open conversation. Are you seeing this, or am I just excited right now?
Seeing it.
Seeing it.
Are you just saying that because that's what I think you think I want you to say? Can you kind of connect the dots and say, wait a minute, here's a conversation I can have with my team, and what we can do is rather than kill ourselves in activities, what we can do is we can become more purposeful and effective and tactical in our approach.
That makes all kinds of sense.
Well, and again, don't you? It seems much more, number one, more prescriptive, but number one, it's easier to build from evidence than it is to just make stuff up and throw it in there.
Yeah.
It's much easier.
And the key that I want you, what's that?
No emotion in it.
There is no emotion. Are you with me? It's allowing us to really score how we're doing with no emotion. And now what happens, rather than saying we're doing good, we're doing bad, what we can do is we can say we can become more effective.
Well, John, I think if you're looking at your multi-trends, then you also can see the shift coming and know how to shift it to be the most value for them.
Cato, I love that you're on the call, man. Say that again.
If you're paying attention to your numbers on the multi-trends, you can see the shift coming so that you can not only look at what you've been doing training tracker, but also look at what needs to be shifted in your education before the shift so that your agents are best served.
Love it. The agents are best served, and now your team leader can take that conversation into a market share appointment and say, this is what we're doing here, and that producer in the market share appointment is like, we're not doing that where we are. Do you see how we're coming from contribution?
Absolutely.
How are we doing?
Great.
Because what we can do is we can just sit there and tell our people, just go do more appointments. Well, that's really not looking out for our people, right? There's no vision there. When we tell our people, just go do more appointments, all we're doing really is that's for something other than your business. Are you with me? That's not who we are. Your market center is the highest level at Keller Williams. So what happens, let's have real conversations with you. Let's do the activities, but when the activities are being done, let's not say go do more activities. Let's just become more effective in those activities. Are you liking it, or are you going, whoa, I'm not sure?
No, I'm loving it.
Loving it.
John, we're actually teaching the agents to analyze their business in the same way, right?
Exactly. We're teaching our agents to analyze the business, and now what happens, it doesn't matter how productive our team leaders were, what level of production they had when they came into the team leader role. We're teaching them the skills so that they can have amazing conversations with whatever level of people in the market center.
Mm-hmm.
You are teaching your team leader to be the expert on the market in your area. Kind of like Gary Keller is the expert in real estate in North America. Well, you're teaching your team leader how to be that person in your local area. How's it worked for Gary?
Amazing.
Pretty well.
So you know what? If we're a company of systems and models, let's just go to what's worked really, really well and teach that and coach that.
So it's really interesting because we've watched the growth initiative work through the leadership, and now we're trickling it down to the agents. And now we're talking about effectiveness, and we're going to trickle that down to the agents as well.
And now what happens, coupled with CGI, do you see how everything's dovetailing together?
Yes.
Yep.
Rather than having all these different conversations and having our leaders being focused and have to be experts in different things, let's just dovetail it together where they're familiar with these concepts. And so what they can do is they can have powerful conversations that can be leveraged into performance and fund people's lives, including yours. Remember, I can say that because you're my audience on that. Doing all right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
Great.
with this calendar, this is rhetorical right now. With this approach to the calendar, the training calendar, what does it do for you? Doesn't it open? First of all, hopefully it helps you identify what your people need, right?
Yeah, right.
Without just throwing classes on a piece of paper on the month. Number one, so it allows you to be more effective. Number two, which is probably at least equally important, maybe possibly even more important, it allows you to go into a conversation, opens up the door for you to have conversations with your leadership that will enable you to, as a team, just look at how effective we're being. Does that make sense? And it's not good and it's not bad. It's either effective or more effective. Did you catch that? We're being effective or more effective. Because when we're nailing it, we're effective, right? Woohoo, we're being effective. Right. When we've got opportunities, hey, we could be more effective. Did anybody get ticked off with that? Did that hurt anybody? Well, I think we could be more effective. Is that mean? Is that judgmental? Are we bruising anybody?
No.
Anybody psyche?
We're helping.
We're helping. Are you seeing that? These tactical conversations, these are the ones that I'm on pins and needles when we do these tactical conversations, because I want to make sure that I wish I could see your body language right now for this one. So the more feedback that you can give me, the better, because then I know where we need to move. So thank you, and I apologize for asking for that. But these tactical ones, these are the ones that hopefully you can really dig into them. They're the ones that I don't know where we are. So if you could give me any feedback, that would be great.
John, what I was thinking just now is the phrase, who loses here? If we're driving education directly at the associate's needs, they gain confidence, they make more money. The Market Center makes more money, the team leader gains confidence, we share more money. Who loses in that deal?
And think of the feelings, just the emotions that are driven from it. Are you with me? When we show the agents, let them into the process, how we develop the training calendar, we then take that same approach with our leadership, meaning our team leader, MCAs, productivity coaches, investment groups. We show them that this is what we're doing. What type of energy is that creating? What type of alignment is that creating?
Great alignment. It's showing that we're partners. It's showing that we're partners with our agents, and that we've identified some weaknesses that we all need to work on, and then provided them with the opportunity to grow.
And now what we can do is we can go right in and use the agent's trend report. Are you with me? And then they can kind of look at their own, and then all of a sudden we're teaching them to be business owners.
Business people, yes.
Now the ALC is becoming really, really important, because now what happens, people want to go to that ALC meeting because we're analyzing the Market Center in that meeting. They could have their own trend report right there, and what they're doing is they're analyzing their own business as we analyze the Market Center.
Love it.
Yeah, that's great.
And you know, John, the story that I like is we're not using our agents as some kind of an experiment. We've been doing the growth initiative since 2011. We've worked the bugs out. We haven't mastered it, but we have the evidence base that it works, and so we're not asking these agents to do something that we haven't already proven. So we take the emotion out of it. The facts are the facts, and it's not an experiment. We're not using them as guinea pigs.
We're coming from a caring position of evidence and systems and models that have been proven to work, and now what we're doing is we're sharing with them, and in that sharing, whenever we share, whoever's sharing gets just as much out of it as the people that they're sharing with, because they're teaching, and then it becomes deeper, richer, more internalized, and we get stronger. That's our culture at work, ladies and gentlemen. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, so true.
We doing okay? Should we keep moving?
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
All right. So now what happens, we're looking at this, and I want you to think of the training calendar or your analyzation of your trend report. That's the first step. That's your entry point. Then what happens, then you create that training calendar. Are you with me? Then once you've done that exercise, it allows you to go look at your 2017 goals against your year-to-date and analyze the gap. Is this making sense to everybody, or am I just excited and think that because sometimes I'm alone by myself in the woods, and I'm like,
we're right there with you.
Are you seeing it?
Yep.
So what happens?
The pieces to the puzzle fit together.
Okay, great. So now, here's where it gets really interesting. Everybody breathe. Ready? I'm going to breathe. And one more. I told the MAPS coaches this week, that second one's always for me. So thank you guys very much. All right. Because the first one always feels so good. All right. Here's the deal. Now, minimum standards for the market share appointments. Now, I was kind of having a conversation with myself this weekend, and I was going recruiting appointments and market share appointments. The recruiting appointments are all for whom? Who are they for? I'm going to recruit you. Who's that for?
Me.
Yeah,
Me.
are you with me? Market share appointments, who's that for?
Them.
Everyone.
Everyone. Do you see it? Everyone. So I'm really okay with us calling them market share appointments. I hope you are. Is that all right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens with market share appointments is now we've analyzed our trend entry point, we've looked at the training calendar, we're taking action off that, we're opening a door to take us look at our goals against our actuals, analyzing the gap. Now we're sitting there and going, okay, all this thinking, if we're looking at appointments, right, because that's what we worked off, what if we put a minimum appointment, a minimum standard into that market share appointment? Hold on, everybody breathe. Just be open, please, just be open. Explain. If we had a $500,000 closed production standard, and they carried one listing, can we just do some math? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
October. So what happens if someone's doing 40 market share appointments and they're doing the growth initiative and they're at a 4-to-1, that would close the gap, wouldn't it? It would close the gap in your goals.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That gross would be 10, right? Everybody see the math?
Yep.
Okay, so now here we go to our minimum standard. If we did 500,000 minimum standard and we had 10 gross, what would the volume be?
5 million.
5 million.
5 million.
5 million. That would be impressive on a trend report, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now what happens is now, and that's not even including CGI or any of that stuff, that's just straight market share, capturing straight market share, right? We're going out and taking territory, right?
Right.
So now what happens, that 5 million, Todd, what does that actually turn into in terms of market share?
10 million.
10 million.
Over the year, 120 million.
So now what we do is, if we were doing our lore, that would be an impressive conversation, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And in the season of value, that's what we call the fourth quarter. We're different from traditional real estate. We just call the fourth quarter the season of value. So in the season of value, what we're doing is we need that value, don't we? We need those conversations right now.
Yep.
You seeing it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many minimum listings would we be bringing in?
10.
10.
10.
10? So what that would be is that would be a total of 30 transactions, because whenever you have a listing, you're going to pick up 2 more transactions off that listing. So a total of 3. Making sense?
Yep.
That's not a bad month for your team leader. Now, let's go to November, shall we? So we're doing the growth initiative. We're doing 40 appointments. We're at a 4-to-1. What are we grossing?
10.
10.
Minimum standard is what with production?
10.
500,000.
500,000. So now cumulative volume, what's that for November? For October, November, what's the volume
20
now?
million.
20 million. What's the market
10 million,
share
yeah.
now?
20 million switch.
So what's
$20
the
million
listings
switch.
now? What's the listings now?
20.
What's
20.
the transactions now?
60.
60.
Hush. Get out of here. Stop it. No way, man. That does not happen in the fourth quarter. Hush. Really? It does when
And
we
what's
look
cool
at it.
about that is that's without CGI impacting that first group that came over. We're not even counting that. We're not counting what happens to them when we put them into Ignite. and increase their production. We're not even adding that into the equation. We're just taking the baseline.
What's happening with your trend report just off of market share appointments? What's happening to your trend report just off of market share appointments?
It explodes.
What's happening to your lore just off of market share appointments?
It's just getting better and better and better.
Now let's add in our CGI, our bold, and the rest of the program. Now what's happening, ladies and gentlemen?
And we're exploding.
Now we're helping everybody, even those people that have just joined us quickly and readily.
Well, let's go to December because we got to finish with December. So what happens? We're doing the growth initiative. We're grossing 10. We got a minimum standard of 500. Are you with me? So now what's our volume for those 3 months?
15
million. What's our change in market share?
30 million.
30
million.
What's that happen to our listings?
For 30.
What's happened to our transactions?
90
transactions.
Get out of town. What's happening just off our market share appointments? What's happening to our trend? What's happening to our lore? What's happening to our T-squared?
We're blowing it up.
Now, wait a minute. We're not done yet. What's happening to our trend report, our lore, our T-squared, based off our CGI and our bold, and our ignites, and our mass coaching?
Exponential.
Are you seeing it?
Yep.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
In many of our market centers, they may be doing 200 transactions or less in a month. In that 1 month, that's a 15% increase in closed units in that first month. And then as you begin to accumulate that over time, it's huge.
In the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, yeah.
In the season of value.
Like that.
How we doing?
We're seeing the value.
You seeing it?
Seeing it.
Hey, let's do a little arts and crafts right now. This is in honor of Mary Hibbing. What happens, Mary Hibbing, she always makes sure that she worries about me, so she says, John, it's time for you to do your drawings. And so what happens, let's just do a drawing. So with that, I want you to do on a landscape. By the way, she's so happy with me right now. I just want you to know that on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a drawing, as Mary Hibbing likes to say. And what I want you to do is I want you to turn your paper landscape. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Got it.
Now what I want you to do, about a quarter down the page on the left, I want you to make a horizontal for about 3 inches, and then keep your pen or pencil right there on the right. Are you with me? You went from left to right on a horizontal. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Got it.
What I want you to do is I want you to just ski slope that down, woo, and then horizontal back out. You with me?
Yep.
Got it.
Got it. I know. You guys are so pumped that we're on the OP call, and he goes, John Davis is now having us draw. I'm sorry. I promise there's a point to this. Now what happens, see where you've got that lower horizontal there? See where you're at on that horizontal? Yep. I want you to start there, and I want you to come back to the left, right where you started that upper horizontal. Are you with me? Making sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what I want on that lower part, I want you to go from left to right, the same distance that you did before you started your ski slope down. And where you started your ski slope down, I want you to, now on that lower one, start your ski slope up. And then horizontal it out. So what does that look like?
Kind of an X with legs on each end.
Yeah. Are you with me? Has everybody got that? What it looks like? Now, what I want you to do, we're going to label this incredible drawing that you just did. So what happens, that top point, we're going to label that traditional real estate. Is that all right? Traditional real estate thought. Good? The lower one, we are going to label Keller Williams. And you're all going, Keller Williams? We're not lower. Hey, breathe through it. And what happens, see that slope down and the slope up? We're going to call that the fourth quarter. Are you with me? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if we just did the exercise that we just did right there with our minimum standards, what would happen to our market share in the fourth quarter?
Increase, not decrease.
It would increase.
Look at your drawing. Wouldn't it slope up?
Yes.
Yep.
And traditional real estate says what in the fourth quarter?
Slopes down.
Slopes down.
Are we taking a shot at our competition? Or are we just saying, you know what, we'll determine our own fate?
We're playing by our playbook.
We're playing by our playbook, not someone else's playbook. You seeing it? And we just did the math, didn't we?
Yes.
Yep.
So is it really the seasonality, or is it about leadership and vision?
Leadership and vision.
Yeah.
And implementation.
Right on, Barry.
And communication, not the conversations.
These are cool conversations, but we gotta have the conversations with our people. Are you with me? By the way, I'm willing to help if you put your team leader on the team leader call on Friday. Are you with me? I'm willing to help. Thank you. You made my day. Thank you. All right. So now what happens? Remember. So what we did is everybody understand your drawing right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I want you to go to the Keller Williams line. Fourth quarter, we're sloping up, right? And then what we do is we horizontal out. Can we label that horizontal out after the fourth quarter? Can we?
Yes.
First quarter.
Right. That horizontal is January, February, and March. What happens in your trend report starting in March?
Rises.
Let's just correct our drawing. So now all of a sudden we're going higher, aren't we? Shush, John Davis. No, I'm not gonna. What's your drawing doing now?
Going up.
Growth velocity.
Now, we got to be fair to traditional real estate. Sometimes they're not fair to us, but we don't play that way. We're fair. Are you with me? So what happens, that same plateau that they're at, right, we're going to label that January and February and March, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens to their production in March?
Goes up.
Now, we've been talking about the gap. Who's on top of this gap analysis?
Keller Williams.
We are.
We are.
Ladies
When
and
they go
gentlemen,
low, we go high.
Ladies and gentlemen, and we never give it up because we play from our playbook. Does that make sense? We're playing from our, and hopefully what happens in this call, we've been tactical. We use thought processes and show how we use them. And then what we do is we say, this is the output. This is where we want to go. These are the expectations of where we want to go and where we want to be, and have the type of businesses and what they stand for our people. That is who we are. How'd we do today?
Great.
Great.
Excellent.
What'd you get?
John, when I look at the graph, someone said a couple weeks ago at Recharge that when you're going downhill, you coast. And when you go uphill, you're running. And this kind of illustrates that really clearly, that we're running uphill in the fourth quarter while traditional real estate's just going to allow us to coast down, just gravity to take over.
Love that aha. Mark Brenneman will be doing next week's call. He summed up in about 30 seconds what it took me an hour to do. Nice job, Brenneman. What else did you get?
When you increase the market share appointments, you're increasing the opportunity for growth through CGI, Ignite, and Bold, which increases all your numbers, which then creates the circle again, which just builds and builds and builds.
We're spiraling up, Barry, rather than spiraling down, aren't we?
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
John, I was just thinking as we were talking about these purposeful classes, can you imagine what's going to happen just in attendance alone inside the Market Center, and then what that will do?
You talk about retention, you talk about value, and we can measure that, and we can help people see. Now what happens when we say we are an education technology company, we can show, yes, we are. We truly are, rather than just, by the way, it's a really cool soundbite. Then having the metrics to back it up. Woo! That's cool.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That to me, John, it's Marvin. To me, that is the game changer right there. That makes all the difference. When you can illustrate and back it up statistically that the courses are meant to fill the gaps and take our agents' business to the next level, and by virtue of that, our Market Center business to the next level, that's a game changer. I think that's brilliant.
Keller Williams.
Well, in all honesty, that makes my job as a leader simpler and more effective at the same time. Instead of trying to come up with some jazz hands or entertainment, I'm filling demonstrated needs. And I think about when we talk about learning for earning's sake, that's exactly what we're talking about, and it's really who we are.
Well, we don't have to say we're a culture of productivity. The numbers and the evidence says it for us.
You got it. And what happens when we've doubled the size of the company in 4 years and 10 months, what happens is we have to understand our production outpaced our growth in agent count. So we have the production. Now what we do is we just hyper-focus on it. Woo! Then what's that going to happen? Because when we hyper-focused on growth of the Market Center, what did that do to production? When we hyper-focus on production, woo! What's that going to do to production? Is this an okay conversation? This tactical conversation, is it okay to share with your team leaders on Friday?
Oh, please do.
Please do.
Absolutely.
Hey, folks, thank you for putting up with me. I always get a little nervous when we do these tactical calls on those things. You were great on this call. Fantastic. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful transmittal. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for changing the lives of so many people in this company, in your market area, ladies and gentlemen, because Operating Partners, without you, we couldn't do any of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great day, folks. Talk to you later.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
John.